All right, welcome to the Splunk Skills Builder weekly group. This is a weekly thing, and we're going to try a boot camp style. I just came up with that idea, so we're going to try it out. Tonight will be the first night. We're in beta, just like how the Splunk Cybersecurity Defense Analyst test was in beta. This boot camp is also in beta. We're going to try it out. That way we could figure out all the inner workings of a boot camp. So tonight we'll be covering intro to Splunk, which you see on the screen. We are on the education.splunk website, the official website. You might be on the SBX app. There's also an app that they have that we recommended that you use in our group, in our LinkedIn group. We have a LinkedIn group, so I'll show you that. This is our Splunk Skills Builder LinkedIn group. We post a lot of information about Splunk in here, so if you want to follow along, you can definitely do that. Join the group, and we post in here information that we'll also talk about at the weekly meetings. So the weekly meetings, this bootcamp specifically is to train for that test, the Cybersecurity Defense Analyst test from Splunk. So we'll train for that. And the first videos that we have to watch, there's 13 modules altogether. So we'll cover 2 of them tonight. They have quizzes as well that you have to take. Well, you don't have to take them, but you should take them because they will prep you for the test. The test you have to register for. You have to go to Splunk and register for it. I'll make a separate video on doing all of that because we post all that information in the group. And in the essence of time, we want to keep this kind of like just quiz prep for this boot camp. Anything else like how to register and all of that stuff will be in a resource link, and we'll put that in the description, and we'll also have it in the group folder, which is in a Google Drive folder. Okay, so we won't take up too much time here with that. So without further ado, on this website, if you notice here, I have a print certificate or export certificate, and here it says completed. Actually gone and completed this lesson already. I'm on my grind trying to get certified for my defense analyst from Splunk. So I'm doing it. If you're in the group, you're also doing it too. So we're doing it together. So if you've already in a completed status, you're not going to get launch. Right here usually says launch, where you're going to launch your videos. You're not going to get that. You won't be able to click on anything here. There's no, nothing to click. So don't worry, you still have access to the videos. How you're going to get to them is you have to click this little caret here, and you can relaunch from this area. So you'll be relaunching from right here, and which we're going to do that. And we'll have access to the first intro to Splunk module. Content is loading. We're 100% complete, so we're going to have to load from the beginning. If you notice right here, it says 100% complete. That means I went through all of these videos. What is Splunk, using Splunk web, etc., all the way down to Dashboard Studio, which is on the screen now because we already went through all of this. So we'll just go through it again. Start with what is Splunk.
We're so glad you're here with us, beginning your journey of learning about Splunk. Whether your goal is to become a Splunk Enterprise admin, run searches, and build dashboards in a Splunk cloud environment, or dive deeper into your data using one of our premium solutions like Enterprise Security or Splunk SOAR. In this course, we'll cover what Splunk is and get hands-on with the interface, running searches, and using commands to create reports and dashboards. We'll learn about how knowledge objects can help enrich your data and how to integrate them into your overall workflow. The scenarios in this course will focus on data ingested by Buttercup Games, a fictional gaming company with offices in San Francisco, Boston, and London. Their games are sold by vendors across the globe, as well as in their online store. They ingest data from their online and retail sales, as well as game logs, firewall and web security appliance data, and internal security data related to badge reader access and Active Directory credentials. In the past, when a customer would contact support with an issue, the problem would be handed from one team member to another, forcing everyone to drop what they're doing and manually diagnose the problem, costing time and resources, and frustrating everyone in the process, including the customer. But with Splunk's suite of products, they can use all the data in their environment to solve the issue in less time. When the support request comes in, it's automatically routed to application support, where Caesar searches the data for events where purchase attempts ended in an error. He can then pinpoint the event that matches the user's experience. That event is tied to a database query, which can be correlated to an entry in the slow query log, allowing Caesar to escalate the issue to his admin in a matter of minutes without having to get the whole team involved. But better yet, what if we could alert when transactions fail, even before the customer calls tech support, enabling Caesar to triage the problem before it leads to bigger issues down the line? Splunk is a unified data platform that allows teams to work together or individually to ensure mission-critical digital systems stay secure and reliable. Whether you are on an IT ops, DevOps, or SecOps team, Splunk can provide the key to enterprise resilience and help build a safer digital world. Splunk's primary features make your machine data available, accessible, and usable to everyone in your organization. At the heart of Splunk is the index, which contains your machine data from sources such as servers, network devices, and web applications. Think of your indexer as a factory and your data as raw materials. As data enters, inspectors go to work. They look at the data to decide how to process it. When they find a match, they label the data with a source type. That source type is then used to break the data into single events. The timestamps are identified and normalized to a consistent format. Once data is ingested into the index, it is available for searching and analyzing. By entering a query into the Splunk search bar, you can find events that contain values across multiple data sources, allowing you to analyze and run statistics on the events using the Splunk search language. Search results can be saved to reports, which can provide continued insights into your data and can be used to power dashboard panels. Knowledge can be organized into structured datasets called data models to allow users to quickly visualize data in Pivot without having to write custom searches. To stay on top of your environment, alerts allow you to set custom triggers, so you're notified and can respond to incidents as soon as they occur.
All right, so there you go. That's the first video. Now, when it comes to these videos, for the most part, what you want to do is take notes while they're playing. That's what I suggest. Another suggestion that you might want to do is get a printed out version of the quiz questions. You can definitely do that, and you can read them beforehand, like read the questions. So while you're watching the videos, now in your mind, you're going to be like, oh, that's a quiz question. And you can take note of that. It's a different method than just watching the video straight through and then trying to remember everything and take a quiz. That method might work for you, but if you try my method, just check how much more success you might have. Print out the questions, read them beforehand, even read them 2 or 3 times, just see if you know any of them. You might not, but they'll be in your mind. And then when you start watching the videos, I guarantee it will trigger something. So in that first video, If you were looking at the quiz questions anyway, she did go over about 3 questions that are quiz questions, just in the information that she gave. So let's go right on and go to intro. We're using Splunk Web now. So we're going to play that video.
Interface. After logging into Splunk Enterprise, you'll be redirected to the Splunk Home app. Apps are pre-configured environments that sit on top of your Splunk instance, extending its pre-built knowledge and capabilities. You can think of them as workspaces, built to solve a specific use case. The apps you see are defined by a user with an administrator role. Roles determine what a user is able to see, do, and interact with. There are 3 predefined default roles in Splunk Enterprise: the administrator role, the power role, and the user role. The administrator role is the most powerful, can install apps, ingest data, and create knowledge objects for all users. The power role can create and share knowledge objects with all users of an app and perform real-time searches. The user role will only see their own knowledge objects and those that have been shared with them. Similarly, Splunk Cloud ships with the roles of SC admin, power, and user, as well as additional cloud-specific roles. The Home app gives you a quick place to explore Splunk Enterprise. It allows you to launch and manage other Splunk apps, find documentation, and set a custom dashboard as your default dashboard. Admins or users with the appropriate capabilities can also add apps and data from here. Hundreds of apps are available on Splunk Base, or you can build your own. I have added a link to Splunk Base to your notes. The Search and Reporting app provides a default interface for searching and analyzing data. There are 8 main components of the Search and Reporting app's interface. The Splunk bar appears on every page in Splunk. You can use it to switch between apps, edit your account, view system-level messages, manage and edit your Splunk configuration, monitor the progress of search jobs, and find help. The app bar allows you to navigate the application. The search bar is used to run searches. You type in your search string and hit enter, or click the search icon to start a search. The time range picker is used to retrieve events over a specific time period. There is a How to Search panel with links to documentation and a search tutorial. By selecting the Data Summary button, you get a breakdown of the data indexed by host, source, and source types. We talked earlier about source types being a classification of your data. The source is the file or directory path, network port, or script from which the event originated. And the host is the host name, IP address, or fully qualified domain name of the machine from which the event originated. Table Views provides a UI-driven way to explore and prepare your data without using Splunk's search processing language. The Search History menu allows you to view and rerun past searches. We can narrow our search history by entering search terms into the filter window and filter to show searches executed today, over the last 7 days, or over the last 30 days.
All right, so that was pretty informative. These videos are all informative, but the problem might be for you or anybody just watching the videos, just like going through and watching them, is that that's literally what it is. You're just watching videos, so it might not mean much to you. You might not learn that way. So what I suggest for you is doing hands-on labs. Give me just 1 second. I'm going to use every break as an opportunity to check to see if there's anybody trying to get in the waiting room or anything like that. We got going on here. Oh, Nobody in the waiting room. All right, so there's nobody in the waiting room. So uh the labs that we recommend that we also posted in the LinkedIn group. There's one on Let's Defend. It's the SOC analyst path. If you go to Let's Defend and you try to go on SOC analyst path and you scroll all the way down here, you'll see Splunk, right? Click on that, and then you'll get your Splunk. So you get some hands-on labs here. There's also another one, Hack the Box, another one that have a security analyst certification now. In their security analyst certification path, you get the SOC analyst, and they cover Splunk. See here, SIM operations. Splunk is a SIM tool. Obviously, if you're in this group, you're going to know that it's a SIM tool. So there's also, there's all types of stuff like Splunk for cybersecurity beginners. This is a whole hands-on lab from Hacks Camp, all these different resources that we can get into, right? And that's for the hands-on, so that the videos actually mean something to you after a while, and you can actually start using Splunk when you download Splunk Enterprise, or you could use the clouds, their cloud version as well. Let's go on and see using search, start getting more educated.
Reporting app interface, let's take a look at how we can search our data to investigate a potential security issue. Let's check in with our colleague Caesar. This morning, Caesar was killing time on his favorite social network when he got a message that there was some suspicious-looking activity on one of the Buttercup Games servers. We'll use the Search and Reporting app to help Caesar see what is happening on the server. The search bar works as you would expect it to. We just enter the information we want to search for. To see if someone is trying to log into our server using bad credentials and failing, we type failed into the search bar. As we type, the Splunk Search Assistant will display matching terms, contextual matches, and syntax documentation for the search. We only want to see when failures have happened over the last week, so we select last 7 days in the time range picker. Limiting a search by time is key to getting results faster and is a best practice to use for every search. Once the time range is selected, the search is sent to Splunk, where it becomes a search job. The new search page opens. The interface now contains a Save As menu, search result tabs, search action buttons, a search mode selector, and a timeline. The events containing the text we searched for show in the event list, and the fields that were extracted show up in the fields sidebar. The Save As menu allows us to save our search as a knowledge object. The results populate into the search result tabs depending on the type of search commands used in the search. The Events tab will display the events returned for your search, and the fields that were extracted from the events. For a simple search like this, you will usually be presented with this tab by default. The Patterns tab allows you to see patterns in your data, allowing you to get a better understanding of what is happening in your data. If your search is generating statistics or visuals, they will be displayed in the Statistics or Visualization tabs. If not, links for Instant Pivot, Quick Reports, and search command documentation will be displayed. One quick note: commands that create statistics and visualizations are called transforming commands. These are commands that transform event data into data tables. We will learn more about transforming commands in a future video. Right above the search result tabs, we see the total events returned, and an option to return a random sample of these events. The search action buttons allow us to edit, send to background, inspect, and delete search jobs. There are icons to pause, stop, share, print, or export a search job. Selecting the share icon, we get a link that we can share with others or bookmark for our own use. By default, a search job will remain active for 10 minutes after it is run. After 10 minutes, Splunk will need to run the job again to return the results. A shared search job, on the other hand, will remain active for 7 days and will be readable by everyone, meaning that anyone you share this job with will see the same exact results you did when you first ran it. The export icon will allow you to export events returned from the job in RAW, CSV, XML, or JSON formats. There are 3 search modes you can choose from the search mode selector: fast, smart, and verbose. With fast cutting down on the field information that is returned, field discovery is disabled for this mode, only returning information on default fields and fields required to fulfill your search. Verbose mode returns as much field and event data as possible, discovering all the fields it can. The default smart mode will toggle behavior based on the type of search you are running. The timeline is a visual representation of events segmented over time. The segments are dynamically decided by the time you choose in the time range picker. In this case, we see a segment for each hour over the last 7 days. We can select a specific time range in the timeline to investigate. Doing so, our event list updates to show just the events selected. We can also use the zoom links to zoom in and out of a selection. Now that we can see the events that failed, let's look at how we can start using the events and fields to dig a little deeper.
All right, now that was actually one of my favorite videos because it was really interactive. She was breaking down the little screen that you see there, doing things on there, moving this, moving that. That's actually working with Splunk. What she was doing was actually working with Splunk, so that's what it's called. So eventually that's not going to look like mumbo jumbo to you because you'll actually be able to work with Splunk too. That's the purpose of the group. Now, the purpose of the meetings, what we're in right now, is quiz prep. So everything here that we're talking about is trying to help you pass quizzes and test techniques, tactics, different ways that we can figure out, how to pass. So like I said in the last segment, taking notes would be the best way that I can think of to get benefit from watching videos or from reading, either way. Because when you take notes, it actually helps you to retain information. This is actually proven. It helps you to retain information because it's a different method, excuse me, of getting the information. The first way is by, you're watching the video. So, you got that media going into your brain and she's talking, she's doing things, but you're not going to remember any of that in 2 weeks. Guaranteed you're not. Like she said how to extract field or how to enter a search. You're not going to remember that. 100% you're not. But if you write it down, you take a note, and then you actually perform hands-on in a lab and you do it a few times, you start searching things and you get the proper syntax of how the search is performed. I guarantee you'll remember it then. Trust me, try that out. So if you took any notes, what I'll be doing in future videos is during these breaks, interact with whoever came in. Like right now, there's literally nobody here but me and Tiff. So I'll be asking people like, hey, did you get any pertinent notes on that segment there? Like if you ask me, I would say, yeah, when a search is performed, the default is 10 minutes. She put that up there. I took that note because that's a quiz question. I printed out the quiz questions and I'm looking at them right now and I see they're asking what's the default time for a search. She just literally said 10 minutes and that's one of the choices. So I'm gonna knock that out right there. So that's 1 out of 15 right there if you just started taking notes. And that's the point of that tactic. Okay. So now we're gonna move right along.
How to use events returned by a search. When a search is run, it will return a list of events. We can use returned events to expand our searches and interact with our data. In the events list, the text we searched for is highlighted, and events are returned in reverse chronological order, showing the newest events first. While time is normalized in your index to a consistent format, the timestamp you see in the events is based off the time zone set in your user account. In this example, we see a 3-hour difference displayed for an event with a user setting of Pacific time compared to a user with a setting of Eastern time. Across the bottom of each event, we see selected fields. Currently, we have the default selected fields of host, source, and source type. Rolling over text in an event will highlight it. Clicking on the highlighted text allows you to add that text to the search, exclude events that contain that text, or launch a new search using the text. Each option has an icon that will open the redefined search into a new browser window. We add password to the search updates in the search bar, and the new events are returned. Clicking on the highlighted text again will allow you to remove it from the search. Selecting the info button next to an event, we see all the extracted fields for the event, with check marks next to the selected fields. There is a drop-down for event actions and a link for field actions.
Short and sweet, very informative. She's breaking down the use of the functions in Splunk. These are definitely key functions that you have to learn how to use hands-on. You have to learn how to do this stuff in order to be proficient in Splunk. Now, they have multiple job offerings for Splunk, remote jobs paying over $100,000 a year. They post them all the time on LinkedIn. We'll put some of those resources in the link in the description so that you can start familiarizing yourself with opportunity, with knowledge of this program. That's the reason why we created this group, to promote that opportunity for us. And it's easy to learn as long as we help each other. So taking notes in that segment there, I got a couple of notes. I see some that were actually quiz questions. So I feel confident that I'm going to pass the quiz just because I'm watching the video, taking my notes. And I think that without me having this sheet in front of me with the quiz questions actually right in front of me, that I could check some of them off as she's actually saying them, I'm not sure if I will remember everything on video 5 and 6 that she said on video 1 and 2. I'm not sure. My memory, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't like soak everything up and then I can spit it right back to you. Not me anyway. If yours works that way, then fine. But this video is not for you specifically. This is for the masses of people who want to watch the video and learn how to use Splunk, or specifically how to pass the Cybersecurity Defense Analyst test. This is what this is about. So you might have a different style of learning. So whatever your style is, we want to kind of try to help you develop that right here with these videos. So now we're going to be using search terms.
There are many options when searching terms in Splunk. If we want to cast a wider net for any text that might indicate a failure, we can use a wildcard. Adding an asterisk to the end of the text fail will return any event that starts with the word fail, including fail, failure, and failed. Search terms are not case sensitive, so no matter how we capitalize a value, all results matching the term will be returned. Uppercase booleans of and, or, and not can be used with multiple terms. So if we want to see events with the text failed, but not password, we add a boolean of not. Or all events containing the text failed or password, we use an or boolean. If no boolean is used, and is implied. Boolean operations have an order of evaluation, using not clauses first, then or, and finally and. Parentheses can be used to control the order of evaluation. As an example, by adding parentheses around the or statement in these search terms, Splunk will first evaluate the terms in the parentheses. Exact phrases can be searched by placing the terms in quotes. There might be times when you are looking for results that contain quotes. You can use a / character to escape quotes.
All right, so that's real specific information on how to, use the SPL language, the Splunk programming language. If you're familiar with any other kind of programming language like Python or SQL or anything like that, a lot of this might start looking familiar to you, the way that you have to search certain things and the syntax that you have to use. For me, it does anyway. So that's making me happy because I do program with Python, just a little something. And it's looking familiar. So that works for me. Now, they also, again, have displayed some of the quiz questions in there. We only have 15 quiz questions. We're almost done with this. So, they got to start getting to them. So they definitely are. So let's just keep this moving in the event of time. If anybody wants to chime in, let me just double check to see if anybody's out there. If you're in the group and you want to throw something in the chat, you can feel free to do that. This is interactive for you guys, so just be aware of that. Excuse me.
There are many options when searching terms in Splunk.
No, that's not the video that we're on, right?
If we want to cast a wider net for
we're on this video here. What are commands? Pardon me. We are on this video here. What are commands? We already did using search terms. It's the one that we just did. So commands is the next video.
Let's look at how to use commands to do more with our search results. Splunk's search language is built from 5 components. Search terms are the foundation of search queries. Commands tell Splunk what we want to do with the search results. This includes creating charts, computing statistics, and formatting. Functions explain how we want to chart, compute, and evaluate the results. Arguments are the variables that we want to apply to the function. And clauses explain how we want results grouped or defined. Let's look at how these are put together into a search. We will talk about the specific components in a little bit, so don't worry if you don't understand what they are doing quite yet. First, we have the search terms, then the first search component. You can see that inside this stats command, there is a function of count, with an argument of usage. The as is the clause. These 2 search components are separated by a pipe. We use a pipe to tell Splunk to pass the current results on to the next component. Our existing query searches our web security appliance data in the network index to count the number of visits there have been to prohibited sites from our environment over the last 30 days. Then stores that count in a field called visits. By appending a by clause with the CS username field, we can further split the count of these events by individual employees. The search command can be used to filter results at any time in the search pipeline. The command behaves exactly like the search terms before your first pipe, but allows you to filter your results further down the search pipeline. We can use this command with the visits field we created in the stats command to find employees that have violated our web policy more than once this month. While being able to search inside your pipeline is very powerful, remember that if you can filter the items before your first pipe, do it there for better searches. We previously discussed case sensitivity for search terms. Command names, clauses, and functions are also not case sensitive. If a command references a specific value, that value will be case sensitive. As an example, if we want to replace one of our host values using the replace command, it's required that the host value be an exact match, including case. Using time to limit the events returned is the most efficient way to filter events. The less data you have to search, the faster Splunk will be. After time, the default fields of index, source, host, and source type are the most powerful. These fields are extracted at index time, so they will not need to be extracted for each search. The more you tell the search engine, the more likely it is that you will get good results. It's better to search for failed password instead of just password. Inclusion is generally better than exclusion. Searching for access denied is better than searching for not access granted. When possible, use the or in operators instead of wildcards. Apply filtering commands as early as possible in your search. Filtering early limits the number of events, making future manipulations of the data faster.
All right, we do have some members that just came in. I know people getting off work late and everything. Welcome, Sahara. I know you're here. Thanks for coming in. Now, again, what we were talking about here, which she was just going over commands, a lot of this stuff you might say, well, I don't know how to do any of this because I don't have Splunk. So how am I going to practice this? Well, in the group, we did mention that Let's Defend. And with the Let's Defend, you don't have to have Splunk downloaded. That's not something that you need to do. If you go here to intro to Splunk, add data, search on Splunk. You scroll down. There's going to be a spot here where you can lab environment. You see that? If you click on that, how do you get rid of this part? If you click on this connect, they'll launch their instance of Splunk. It's a cloud version of Splunk on Let's Defend, where you can go through the whole entire lab. So you would have an actual Splunk on your computer that you did not download. It's from Let's Defend, and you would be able to go through the labs. So, you know, I recommend that you do it that way. So you can interact with the lab, and then it will make more sense to you. Okay, so we're going to go back to videos. We're up to what are knowledge objects.
Knowledge objects are tools that help you and your users discover and analyze your data. Knowledge objects are grouped into 5 categories: data interpretation, classification, enrichment, normalization, and search time mapping of knowledge called data models. Knowledge objects are useful in Splunk for several reasons. They can be created by one user and shared with other users based on permission settings. They can be saved and reused by multiple people or in multiple apps. And they can be used in a search. These make knowledge objects powerful tools for your Splunk deployment. Knowledge managers are responsible for overseeing knowledge object creation and usage for a Splunk deployment, implementing best practices for naming conventions, normalizing event data, and creating data models for pivot users, keeping the toolbox clean and efficient. Whether or not you're a knowledge manager in your environment, it's important for all Splunk users to know a little about the types of knowledge objects that exist. Let's take a quick look. Some fields are automatically extracted from data based on the selected source type, but additional fields can be manually extracted to add additional insight to your data. Calculated fields are added to events at search time and perform calculations based on the values of existing fields. Event types allow you to categorize events based on search terms. Transactions are groups of conceptually related events that span time. Lookups allow you to add other fields and values to your events, not included in the indexed data. Workflow actions let us create links within events that interact with external resources or narrow our search. Tags allow you to designate descriptive names for key value pairs. They enable you to search for events that contain particular field values. You can think of them as labels for your data. Field aliases give you a way to normalize data over multiple sources. You can assign one or more aliases to any extracted field and apply to fields from a lookup table. And finally, data models are hierarchically structured data sets, which may consist of events, searches, and/or transactions.
All right. Hopefully I didn't cut the video out right there because I muted it. I had something going on here on my end. Let me check the chat. Somebody's in the chat room. Hello, everyone. Hey, how you doing, Chara? Everybody in the chat. Like, if you want to chime in, you can definitely hit us in the chat. You could talk in here when we on break like this in the middle of a video. So we're moving right along. We're trying to get as much quiz questions answered as possible. I was trying to see how I can get this off the damn screen. That's what I was doing, and it just popped up again. How do I get this off? Like, I want this off because I don't want this to be in the next video. So I'll take this little break time to figure out this. That's what I was doing while I was moving this around. I'm trying to get this off the screen. If I press here, it brings that up. I don't want that. If I press here, it's going to give me all that. I don't want all that.
Knowledge objects are tools that help.
We already did that video. So I don't know how to get this off anymore. Forgive me. Now it wants to just stick around. So we will continue on with the video.
You and your users discover and analyze your data. Knowledge objects are grouped into 5 categories.
We watched knowledge objects already.
So far, we've learned how to successfully craft searches that return the events we want. But what if we need to run the search in the future, or we want to share that search with other users? We could make a note of our searches or email them, but that could get messy and annoying. Splunk makes saving and sharing searches simple with reports. Here, we have a search that returns events containing failed login attempts. 1 or 2 failed logins may just be due to user error, but multiple failed logins may be indicative of a security incident. Our team is particularly interested in seeing where these attempts happened. But when we look at the field sidebar, we don't see anything related to geographic information. We'll append the IP location command with the source IP field to add geographic context to the returned events. Now, in the field sidebar, we see that additional fields have been added to our results. Expanding the country field, we see the top 10 values for the field, along with a count of events that contained the value and the percentage of total events in this time period where the value occurred. At the top of this window, we see 4 links for quick reports: top values by time, rare values, or events with this field. Selecting top values appends the top command to our search and allows us to visualize this data in a bar or column chart. This is helpful, but in order to really understand where these attacks are coming from and see if there might be any trends in related areas, we'd like to visualize our results on a map. We'll replace our top command with a geostats command, which allows us to use the context provided by the IP location command to plot our data on a cluster or choropleth map. Hey Caesar, should web administrators be logging in from these locations? In order to easily share access to this data with our colleagues, we'll save it as a report by opening the Save As menu and selecting Report. In the Save As Report dialog, we enter a name, optional description, confirm that we want to display this data in a visualization, and select whether to display the time range picker or not. Before saving reports, it's best for your organization to define a naming convention. This will help keep your reports organized and easy to find. We use a naming convention of the group the report is for, the type of object it is, and a simple description of what the report contains. After saving, we are given a list of additional settings, but let's just view it for now. When a report is run, a fresh set of results is returned. Since we chose to show a time range picker, we can change the time range of the events shown. You can access all your reports from the Reports tab in the Application menu. You can run the report by selecting its title or open it in Search. Selecting the arrow next to the name of the report expands to show details such as who created it and the app it was created in, as well as additional settings for scheduling or accelerating the report, and who has permission to view it. Edit links for these settings are available next to each setting, and can also be found by expanding the Edit menu. Here, you have options to edit description, permissions, schedule and acceleration, along with links to clone, embed, or delete the report if we have the proper permissions. When a report is created, it is set to display only for the owner who created it. By changing this display setting to App, we can share this report with all other users of the app in which it was created. In this case, Search and Reporting. By default, the option to display a report in all apps is only available to users with an admin role. Power users are granted read and write permissions on the report. Notice the Run As dialog. This allows the report to either be run as the owner of the report or as the user that is running the report. So if you have sensitive materials that not all users of your organization should see in the report, and the report is run as owner, the data could be returned to the user. If the report was run as user, only the data they have access to would be shown. We can schedule the report to run at timed intervals using the Edit Schedule link. There are multiple benefits to scheduling a report. It can reduce strain on your environment caused by repeatedly running new ad hoc searches. This is particularly beneficial when a report is shared with a number of users or embedded in a dashboard. Reports can be configured to run every hour, day, month, or week, or you can tune them even more by defining a cron schedule. We see a warning at the top of the schedule window for this report, letting us know that scheduling a report will override our Run As settings and will remove the time range picker from the report, since the intention is to restrict how often the report will run and what data it will access. We can specify a time range and give it a schedule window in case there are multiple concurrent searches scheduled to run at the same time. Trigger actions can further enhance your report's functionality, delivering scheduled search results via email, using a webhook to post results to an external URL, or custom scripts defined by your organization.
All right, let me check the chat real quick. Hey, what's going on? See, now when I close this, that should stay down there. I want that to stay down there just like it is. All right, so if you're curious where she's getting all this information that she's using for this information that she's going over, she did mention Buttercup Games. That's an actual download file. It's a data file that you can get from Splunk. We'll post that in the group too, in case anybody wants to use that data file or data set to load in their Splunk enterprise or cloud version. You can download these things so you can actually get some practice, or you can use it on Let's Defend. We'll post that in there so you can go through these. As an added benefit to group, and also since this is a boot camp, everything that she's doing on screen, I'm going to create a lab out of all the steps that she's going over, and that'll be provided in the resources as well. So every week we'll have labs and all of that so that we would, this will be an official boot camp. It'll also help us to train hands-on. We'll get the visual with the video. We'll read all the notes. We'll do the labs, and we should definitely pass that cybersecurity defense analyst test with all of that. And that's the purpose of the boot camp in the first place, right? So creating reports. We're doing creating dashboards now, right?
Sometimes a visualization will help you use your data to tell a better story. Splunk allows you to visualize your data in many ways. Any search that returns statistical values can be viewed as a chart. Now that we know where our failed logins are coming from, let's investigate further and figure out what accounts are associated with those events. We'll start with the same search terms we previously used to create a report. Expanding the user field in the field sidebar, we'll again use the Quick Reports option to find the accounts most commonly experiencing login failures. This appends the top command to our search, allowing us to visualize the results. Hovering over a segment of a chart will display statistics for the segment. There are many types of visualizations in Splunk Enterprise, so you can find the right chart for your data and format it to best tell your story. The Visualizations tab contains options to select a visualization that best fits our data or customize it using the Format menu. We'll display these results in a pie chart. The top command defaults to display the 20 most common values for a supplied field. 20 looks a little crowded in this visualization, and we want to make sure we're focusing on our most common offenders. So we'll change the number of results returned to 10. There we go, much easier to read. We'll share these results with our colleagues by saving it directly to a dashboard. Expanding the Save As menu, we have the option to save this visualization to a new or existing dashboard. We'll select New Dashboard, then give it a name. We have the option to add a description and can set permissions to allow others to view our dashboard. We'll leave this as private for now while we're still developing it. Splunk offers two different frameworks for building dashboards: Classic Dashboards or Dashboard Studio. We'll touch on the differences a little later, but for now, let's select Classic Dashboards. We give the panel a title and confirm that we want to display our results as a visualization and not a statistics chart. Under Advanced Panel Settings, we see that this panel is powered by the inline search we just ran, and that drill down is not enabled for this dashboard panel. Drill down behavior can be configured to make your dashboards interactive, allowing users to explore data beyond just what they see in the default dashboard view. This setting can be modified in the dashboard editor once the dashboard has been created. Our settings look good, so we save and view the dashboard. Let's add some more panels to our dashboard to tell a more comprehensive story. Returning to the new search page, we'll again search for the terms we used to visualize our most common users experiencing login failures. Let's look at events by time so that we can see if there are any concerning spikes in login attempts. While failures are our primary concern, a spike in accepted login attempts can also hint at a potential security incident. So we'll delete the failed password requirement to return all events related to login activity. In the field sidebar, we expand the Action field, where we can confirm we're now seeing results from both failures and successes. Selecting the Top Values by Time Quick Report appends the time chart command to our search, so we can visualize our data as a line chart, allowing us to quickly see login trends over time. This looks good, but before we save it to our dashboard, we'll make a couple of visual modifications. Options in the Format menu will differ based on the visualization type. For example, if we change this visualization to a column chart, in the General tab, we see that we have options to change stack mode. offering different ways of thinking about how our failed and successful logins compare to one another. For our line chart visualization, we have some general settings, format options for the X and Y axis, a chart overlay option if we want to compare values from a different field, and options for our legend. We'll change the legend's position to move it to the left side of the visualization. We'll also choose to display values for our minimum and maximum data points. Now we'll save this panel to our existing dashboard and view our progress. Looking good. Additional panels can be added to our dashboard by selecting Edit, then Add Panel. In the Add Panel window, we have options to create a new visualization from scratch without returning to the search window. Add a panel from a report, clone a panel from another dashboard, or add a pre-built panel. Let's add a panel containing our cluster map visualization inside the report we previously created. We'll select New from Report, then select the report's title. A preview of the visualization is displayed, along with the details of the report and the underlying search that powers it. When we select Add to Dashboard, the panel is added to the bottom of the dashboard. Our dashboard is starting to tell a story, but could use some visual optimization. We'll move our cluster map displaying failed login attempts next to the pie chart displaying attempts by user, and change its name to be a little more human-readable. While in edit mode, we also have options to see and edit the XML source for our dashboard, add inputs, and select a dark theme for our dashboard. We also have tools on each panel allowing us to edit searches, change visualizations, and modify visualization formats, along with other actions. In the drill down editor, we can configure behavior when users interact with a visualization, linking to search, another dashboard, a report, custom URL, or manage tokens for more advanced drill down capability. Let's link this visualization back to its search, save the dashboard, and refresh the dashboard to ensure that the changes have been applied. Now when we select a slice of our pie chart, a search window opens that contains the events related to that user, with the selected user already populated in the search. And, of course, we can access all of our dashboards by selecting the Dashboards tab.
Nice. I really like that video. Yeah, if you really like watching the video, paying attention, that was very interesting because you could take all the information that you searched and realize that you can now format that into a visual representation, because you got to present some of this stuff sometimes to whoever, like who are you working for? Why are you using Splunk in the first place? You must have a job, and your job is analyzing somebody's network or whatever. So whenever there's an incident and you're using Splunk to detect or threat hunt or figure out what's going on, why, who cares? Like somebody wants to know, like whose network is this? You have to make a report to that person. That person's going to want to know what the hell are you doing? Like, why am I paying you, right? So the report has to be generated in a way that the person can understand. You can't just show them your screen, like, look at all the stuff on my screen. I got all my information. This is my Splunk. Come look. They're not going to do that. They just want you to present it in a brief synopsis of what's going on so they could figure out if it's important or not, because they have other important things going on, right? So visualizations are very important in that regard. Charts, graphs, everybody likes graphs, so it makes the picture very clear. So creating dashboards will allow you to do that. And none of that's going to make any sense, I guarantee you, at all. None of it, if you don't do it hands-on. You have to actually create a dashboard. So we're going to have a lab of creating a dashboard from scratch with information that we extract from a file from Buttercup Games, and we'll just go through it. And hopefully you'll participate in that exercise more than you participate in the weekly groups. Just kidding. But it is the only way that it's going to make any sense to you at the end of the day. So we got one more video to watch, and then we have a quiz, and keeping it moving.
When we created our dashboard, we had the choice of one of two frameworks: Classic Dashboards and Dashboard Studio. Using our existing dashboard, let's take a quick look at the features of Dashboard Studio. Navigating to the Dashboards tab, we open our existing dashboard. Expanding the menu at the top right corner of the interface, we select Clone in Dashboard Studio. We see the same options we had when creating a classic dashboard, to change the name and optional description of the dashboard, as well as define its permissions. Now we need to decide whether we want our dashboard to be in absolute or grid mode. Absolute layout offers pixel-perfect, fully customizable placement, while the grid layout offers automatic snap-to alignment to quickly organize your panels into rows. We'll select grid layout, then convert and save. The dashboard opens in edit mode. Icons at the top contain controls to add a new visualization, add inputs, add markdown text, show or hide the configuration panel, configure data sources, or edit the dashboard's JSON definition. The options available in the configuration panel will vary depending on the selected visualization. While the width and height of panels can be defined in classic dashboards by editing the XML source, Dashboard Studio makes it easy to customize your dashboard layout by selecting and dragging the boundaries of dashboard panels. Since we created this dashboard in grid mode, all neighboring panels adjust accordingly. Looking at a side-by-side comparison of each layout, both have their strengths. Grid layout offers a quick and easy-to-use experience, with many visualization charts and limited canvas customization. The absolute layout offers a highly customizable canvas with pixel-perfect control. It has options like background color or image and canvas size, as well as the addition of shapes, icons, and additional images up to 16 megabytes. Thank you so much for joining us to begin your journey learning about Splunk. For getting started guides and product tips, please visit Splunk Lantern. We also suggest you check out the documentation, visit our Splunk How-To YouTube channel, and register for additional courses from Splunk Education. Thanks for watching.
And there it is. So she did recommend to check out Splunk documentation. This is Splunk documentation right here. They have all kinds of information on Splunk platform, security, IT, different integrations with Splunk, and specifically when you're using Splunk, the syntax and all of that, you can find out information on that with the frequently asked questions, and you can learn on this platform right here. They're here to help you figure out what you're doing, just like how we are. So the next thing, she has some notes, and in the notes they have the resources that they have: Splunk training and certification. So if you go there, is pretty much where you could register for the test. The Splunk documentation, which I just showed you, Splunk base, all these things, you could click on them yourself. We're going to keep it moving because we do have a quiz to take. So let's get to that. We'll close this down. And we got to go to our quiz, intro to Splunk quiz, right? So this is for everyone. This is for everyone. We have to take this quiz. We're going to take this quiz again. If you ever take the quiz, you can take it as many times as you want. If you fail it, you will not get a certificate. So since we watched the videos today, We literally just watched them. Tonight is your chance to leave with a certificate. So that's another incentive for coming to group meeting. We get to do the quiz together. We can help each other, and we all leave with a certificate. So tonight we can start intro to Splunk. We're gonna take this quiz. You guys can help me out, and we'll see what we get. First question is, what is the most efficient way to limit search results returned? Uh, does anyone know this one? This one was definitely said in the videos. She did mention this. Anybody?
Time,
What was that? Time?
yes.
All right. I'm gonna agree with you. She did mention that it was time, so I'm confident with that. Now, with this test, you cannot move forward unless you pick an answer. Like you can't skip any answers. So as a group, we did select time. We're gonna go ahead and select that. And if you notice the next question, we cannot go forward unless we pick something here. Now, if you were watching in the video, sometimes I took the cursor and I was moving it around and stuff when they were saying things. That was actually to get your attention if they were mentioning anything that I know for sure was going to come up on the quiz. So I did that with this one because she mentioned when she was showing you how to do the search function and filtering and all of that. So the question is, which of the following searches will return results containing the words fail, failure, or failed? If you notice, fail is the keyword, failure, the root word is fail, and then it has URE after it. Failed, the root word is fail, it has ED after it. So what would give me anything fail and anything after it? That's on that list. Now you can guess because you're gonna have to guess anyway because we can't move on unless we pick something. So that's what we're gonna do as a rule in the group. If you end up coming to meeting, we have to guess. If we don't know it, we will guess. If I know it and you don't know it and you guess wrong, then I'll answer it correctly. So that way, when you answer it on yours, we're gonna get a certificate. That's the goal. We're gonna learn tonight. So we're gonna try. Everybody's gonna give it a try. What do we think this one is? Anybody?
This one is the first.
The first one, this one here, right?
Yes.
Shahara, you agree?
Sure.
All right. So I'm gonna agree as well because I do remember her pointing that out, and it was on the screen pretty clearly that if you put this asterisk behind anything, it'll give you the word in front of it with anything that occurs after it is a filter that we can use. So we're gonna submit that, and we're gonna submit that with some confidence. Now this one here, let's see. What determines the timestamp shown on returned events in search? Now, if you were watching, you might get confused with these choices because on the screen when it was displayed, some of the time zones, Greenwich was on the screen. It was, I saw it. Could have confused me too. However, they're not asking you what was on the screen. They're asking you what determines the timestamp. So that's a specific thing. There's something that does determine the timestamp. Did anyone catch it in the videos? Can we guess or
Yep.
do we know?
The third one.
The third one is the time zone defined in user settings. Absolutely, I'm going to agree with you. I'm very confident about that because she did mention the user setting. You could change the time zone in the settings. It could be whatever you want. So we're here to learn. We need to know how we can operate with Splunk. So we have to know if these things are true, false, or whatever. But yeah, if we're trying to set time zones, we can go into the settings and change that into whatever we want. Matter of fact, we can make a lab out of that so we can remember it better. Go in there and change the settings on the time zones and a couple of other things. All right, so next question. Again, with this failed password, if you notice, when you're training Splunk and you get a lot of different modules, that search for failed passwords is going to come up a lot because a lot of training modules use the same data set. That Buttercup Games data set is available right on Splunk. So a lot of them are going to use it. So it makes it easier to learn because everybody have the same material. Which of the following searches will return results containing the phrase failed password? Now, they have, this is kind of tricky because when she explained this, I literally heard her say, I literally heard it out of her mouth. She says in quotation marks, you could put failed password. However, this group here is to train us on how to pass tests, how to cipher through all the bullshit that's on the screen and just zero in on what's important, what's the keywords. Okay, so she wants to know how can we put failed password to result in a search. So it could give us that. And it already has quotation marks in the actual word in the question. So that means in the results, what they're going to result, what are we going to get?
Yeah,
Now,
I mean,
again,
you should get
remember,
everything that
we
says
can
failed
guess.
password. I
Come
want to
again?
say, wouldn't it be the last one?
Okay, now, why would you say that? I want to start picking brains here a little bit, just so that it could be a little more interactive because this is supposed to be learning. So if you're picking one with confidence, tell me why. If you're guessing, let's analyze why would we guess like that.
Because when she did it in the example with the failed passwords like that, that's when everything that had failed passwords was in it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because as I recall, I don't recall her putting any quotation mark if I was looking at that correctly.
Okay, good eye. Very good eye because she did not. You don't have to. If you're just trying to search for something and you want that specific thing to come out in the search, you just got to straight up type that in into the search. Search for this or search for that. Now, if you want to modify and you want searches to include what you're looking for plus other things, then you can add search modifiers to it. But if you just want failed password, just type in failed password in the search and you should get that. So very good. Now, if you're along watching, you don't have to be online on Splunk. You could literally just be on Zoom watching us, and on your phone, you could be on your SBX app taking the quiz. The only problem is your quiz may not be coming up in the same order as my quiz is because they jumble
You
up
might
these
not like
quizzes.
this
If you
because
take
this
it,
ain't that processed chocolate that you got.
yeah, you're not going to get the same order. You will definitely get the same questions. They do not change the questions, they just change the order. So you could write these down. You could say, okay, this one was this one was that one. Especially if you tried to pass the quiz already and you failed, you'll know which ones you didn't get correctly. So you could use this as a refresher and then go back in there and pass your quiz. Tonight we're all getting certified. That's a fact. By default, how long does a search job remain active? I took a note, right? And I even mentioned it right in the middle of the videos. I said one tactic that we can use to help us is to have the quiz in front of you, take notes while they're talking, take some notes. And I said one of the notes that I took in one of them videos was about the 10-minute thing, and I wrote it down. I checked it off. This was the question that I was talking about right here. How long does a search job remain active by default? And it's 10 minutes, so 100%. And that's the reason why I was taking notes. And that's the purpose behind taking the notes because I'm confident enough to say that without even asking nobody anything because I took notes. And I actually did that for a few of the questions. So if you do that, and that's one of the tactics that you use, come quiz time, your confidence level should boost. So that's a confidence boosting tactic right there. We want to try to boost our confidence when we're taking these quizzes. We don't want to feel nervous. We don't want to feel like we don't know these things. We do know these things. We literally just watched the quiz. We know this. This one is easy. If you were participating in group in the LinkedIn, we always talking about this. We post all types of pictures and stuff about the default roles in Splunk. So we should all know this one. Do we know this one?
I do.
What we got?
Got power, admin, and user.
Power, admin, and user, 100%. I'm confident with that. There is no manager role that they've discussed thus far. If there is in the future, we don't know about it yet. So we're only covering stuff that we have heard thus far. And the only thing that we've heard is power, admin, and user, 100%. So we're at the midway point just about. Which Splunk infrastructure component stores ingested data? Now, this one is if you were watching the video, it had a few animations. Now, whenever an animation pops up on the screen, I always get more into the video because you know it catches my attention a little bit more than just somebody talking, I guess. And in that animation, there was a machine going through and there was rocks, and then the machine was sucking up the rocks and changing it into all stuff. That was called the indexer, that machine. And she said that was what, when all the data comes in, it goes into the indexer. So that's how I figured out what this one was. And that's what reminds me of this. So that's another tactic. Whenever something visually happens during the videos, if it's not her just showing you how to load a field or how to use a search function, if it's an actual video that's playing an animation, there's usually some information in there that's important. That's why they made all that animation. They went through the trouble of doing that. So for this one, index would be the component that stores data here. It's not the data models or the dashboard. We already know what dashboards are and data sets. So index with confidence. So if you're taking your quiz and you're not up to this question yet, just jot down infrastructure index. So that way it can remind you when you get to this. And you should be get it. I want some snacks. Matter of fact, I'm gonna take a break after this to get some snacks. All right. Number 8. Which of the following Booleans can be used in a search? Now, Booleans, most any programming language use Boolean. And Booleans we use for pretty much filtering and helping us to make the search a little more direct or indirect if you want to eliminate some information that you're looking for. But you can't use every single Boolean in other programming languages that you could use in Splunk. The only ones that they allow in Splunk that we've learned thus far, what do we remember them using?
That's gonna be them the second, third, and fourth.
The second, third, and fourth.
Those are Booleans. The first one is not one.
So you're saying not, or, and.
Yes, sir.
So pretty much you're saying also is not one. Also is not one.
Not one.
I agree. Also is not a Boolean that I've seen that they mentioned. They did and, they did or, they did not. They did different examples of using each one, but none of the examples that they did, they use also. So I'm confident with those 3. We could go ahead and submit that. Now for this one here, by default, who's able to view a saved report? There's only 3 rows, the user, power, and admin. But out of those 3, who can view a saved report by default? Keyword is default.
I think it's between the second and third. I'm going for the second one though.
All right, but between second and
user didn't
third.
create the save report, so I'm about to take that out the equation.
Okay, let's go over them and see what we got. We're looking for a default role here. So you said the second one, any user with the view reports capability. Okay, now the reason why I would not suggest that based off of the videos that we just watched, because remember, quiz tactic, we're trying to answer a question based off of either a text that we read or a video that we watched. In this case, it's a video that we watched. And in the video, we're going to get all the information that we need to answer the questions, hopefully. And I don't remember. Now, the problem here is that your memory might be bad, so you might not remember anything. So that's not going to help. But if you do have a fairly good memory, you could remember some of the things that they talked about. I don't remember anything about view report capability when it came to the users, when they were talking about the users and what they can and can't do and what they could, have the privilege.
Take the
I don't
bag out.
remember that. So now the third one, any user with a power or admin role. Okay,
Take
a
your bag.
power or
Yes.
admin role would be able to view a saved report. And then let's look at the other choices. Any user with a power or admin role. This one says any user with a power or admin role. See the first one, any user with a power or admin role. See the third one, any user with a power or admin role. That's the same exact thing. So when they do stuff like that, when it's the same exact thing, usually that's the wrong answer. Because if you pick this one, then this one's wrong. If you pick this one, then this one's wrong. You see what I'm saying? So that's a tactic that we're going to use in this case to eliminate these two, because we don't want to get the question wrong. And since there's only one right answer, it can't be this because this would be wrong. Can't be this because this would be wrong, because they're the same exact one. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to eliminate these two. And now we only have these two to deal with. The user who created it actually sounds like a fair deal to me, because if I'm creating it by default, at minimum, I should be able to view the report that I literally just created by default. Anybody else, I can give them permissions to do that. It's my report. I made it. It's a private report. So that's how we're going to look at that. And we're going to choose this one. So these two, obviously not the answer because they're the same answer. And this one, we don't remember this information in the video. Now, regardless if this is in there or not, we don't remember it being with a person that they were talking about, user, admin, power. Power, they can create this. A user can do this and this. Admin can do this, and the third. There was that part of the video where you're going to find this answer right here. And that was in the second video. So let's submit that. How many more do we have? We got 5 more. Which command can be used to further filter results in a search? We're going to use a command out of these. We want to further filter a search. What do we think?
I want to say maybe the third one.
The third one, all right.
I don't think that the other ones. I think with that was just that you can type in search and then type in the command of what you're trying to search for, if I'm correct, if you want to filter something.
That is correct. Now check this out. For you specifically, you see that little feeling that you have, uncertainty? You say, I think that you typed in search and then you just keep on. That uncertainty, I guarantee we could clear that up with a lab. When we do a lab and the lab is, the purpose of that specific lab is let's explore the search function. Everything that we're doing in that lab is going to be searching for something, searching for this, searching for that, doing this and doing that with the search function. Once we're done with that lab, coming out of there, we're going to know everything that we need to know about the search function. And there will be no more uncertainty when it comes to any questions about search. So you'll be with confidence saying, yeah, I know this for sure. I know this for sure because I've done it several times before. So that's why the labs are going to help us in this regard. So we're going to create labs on searches. We'll run through them, and then we'll be able to knock these out with confidence, with less uncertainty. But you were right. You were right 100%. Which of the following searches will return results containing the terms failed, that's the specific term, password, specific term, and failed password, which is together. Those three results they want, and they want a search to return all of that. So now I'll give you a hint. This is the first one that they've done. Well, actually, no, this is not. There's one that they asked us for the three roles. It was the user, the power. So this is another one where they're asking for more than one answer. And the way we know that is they're saying which of the following searches, plural, searches. So we're not looking for one answer. Sometimes a lot of people get this question wrong because they choose one specific answer. There's not one answer. There's two answers. So we need to get two answers for this one. And what do we have? Can we get one of them?
First and fourth.
The first and the fourth. This 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, the fourth is failed or password. Yeah, if we get failed, we'll get that word failed, or password, we'll get that word password. Now, that's not going to give us failed password. So that's why we have to pick another one. That's one of them. So now we got to pick another one. So now the other one you picked was the first one, right? Failed or password or failed password. And that would give us all of them, failed or password or failed password. So this one and this one together would give us all of these. This one would not give us password. It would give us failed, and it would give us failed password altogether, but it won't give us password by itself because it doesn't have failed. Password doesn't have failed in front of it. So that's why that won't work. Now, failed password or failed password won't give us failed by itself because there's no modifier for that. So that's, we won't get this word by itself with this or this. So that's why this one and this one are the only ones that's going to give us what we're looking for. And we've disproved these ones with facts. So we know for sure that these ones are not the ones. So we're confident with this. We proved it with facts. That's another tactic that you could use, just straight up facts. Which character is used in a search before a command? This one was clearly evident. Yep, clearly evident throughout the whole video when they were doing any kind of searches. They were talking about piping down the list and stuff like that. We're going to pipe this search result. So they were always using that, always. So we're very confident there. Ooh, we're almost going to get certified, hopefully. Which search mode behaves differently depending on the type of search being run? Again, they made a whole animation on this part where they had the little car and the little locomotive talking about the different smart search modes. But there's one of them that changes depending on the type of search being run. What kind is that?
Smart.
Yes, yes, yes. We are on a roll. Smart is the one. I'm 100% sure of that. Hopefully we're doing good on this. Okay, now by default, which of the following roles are required to share knowledge objects? Keyword is roles. So we need more than one here. We're not looking for one answer. We need more than one answer.
Users and managers.
Users and managers. Okay, so I'm going to say that manager is not going to be one of them only because we already had a question that said which are the three users or the three roles, excuse me, in Splunk. And when we answered that, we said admin, user, and power. We didn't say manager. So I don't want to add manager now because then that's going to make me think that that other question I got wrong. And then I'm going to have to go back and change that one. And I can't, you see, they don't allow us to go backwards. So I don't want to do that because I already think that I got the other one correct. So I'm going to use that mindset of confidence to say that manager's probably not. So how about Tiff? What you got?
I was thinking about admin and power.
Admin and power. Okay, now
Now I can't explain it because I think I'm gonna be honest, I think I wasn't really paying attention to the knowledge objects, but those two to me are ones that will be required because a user, I think probably they probably won't have to share their knowledge objects as much as an admin and power because I think their roles have, I won't say higher responsibilities.
bingo. And you see how you just thought all that process came out of you? That's beautiful because you thought it out. The thought process that you used right there was who has more important role when it comes to these things, a power user and an admin. The user was the lowest guy on the totem pole. That's the person that just pretty much has basic uh, privileges. The manager and the power, they have advanced privileges to do more things. Listen, the power manager and the manager, those are the top priorities. So they would be the ones that I would think by default can do all these sharing of important things like knowledge objects. In the video, knowledge objects seem like a pretty important thing. You had to go through all this process to make one. So I would imagine that it's a pretty important thing that a user wouldn't be defaulted into being able to share. So we'll go off of that. And we know for sure that we at least are using two of the roles that are um, usable, let's say, because we can't even use manager because it's not one of the roles that we're able to use by default. We don't have that role we don't have that role available to us. We only have 3 roles available to us. So we're going to pick out of that. And we're going to eliminate this one because we don't think that he's high enough on the totem pole to have this privilege. So that's how we're rolling with this one. And we're going to cross our fingers there, right? Because everybody had a different answer. So we're going to think about that. And then this one, she did mention in here when you're doing your search results, they do come out in a certain kind of way. What is the order that search results are returned? Alphanumeric. The last one, reverse chronological order. All right, let's go with that one because I believe that's the one as well. I'm confident with that. Now we have 15 questions answered with no opportunity of backtracking. They do not let us go back. So you have to just be confident, knock them out, guess, or whatever you have to do. But once you move forward, you move forward. You cannot go back. So we can't change anything. It is what it is. We are going to submit this and see what we got. You get your quiz results right away. I'm hiding the results. The passing of this is a 70. So the bar did go kind of far over there. So we know at least we got a 70.
I don't see it.
Let's see. Yay, we got a hundo. We passed. So with us 3 together, our minds, we were able to watch the videos and produce a passing result of 100%. So if you were watching along with us and you were on your SBX app and you took the quiz with us, guess what? You passed with 100 or whatever you got. If you didn't trust us and you picked whatever you picked, then that's on you. But we did our thing and we got 100. And guess what? You get certified. They give you certificates for this. So we don't need to take this again. We're gonna close this out because we got to move on. If we go to class, you'll notice that we have these 2 options, but we're going to close out of all of this because we got to go and take another class, which is very quick. So trying to see how do I X out of this without closing my instance here. Go back. Damn, I went too far back. Gotta log in. Well, this is cool anyway that I'm logging in from the beginning so that I can show you if you're logging in, what you have to do to get to your classes. So these 3 little hashes right here, you click on that, you go to me, and they'll show you all of the classes that you have. I've completed 2 of them already. And we're going to go down to using fields now. That's the second video that we're going to cover today. Should be down here somewhere. Using fields, where the hell are you? Here we go, because I completed it already. So I have to, you can see the certificates and everything, print your certificates. Everyone tonight, they got the intro to Splunk. You should get that certificate. If you come in here, you'll be able to print it and you can post it on your wall, do what you want to do with it, post it on your LinkedIn. Please post it in the group. If you do get your certificate, post it in the group so we could all see it, please. That would be nice. Like if you go to the LinkedIn group here, you scroll down, posted this in the certificate, right? See, post them in here so we could be proud of ourselves. I think that's a good idea that we do that. So back here, we're going to fields, and I want to launch this again. Hold on, how the hell do I launch my John here using fields? Wow, there we go. Now here, this one is a very quick videos. They start right away. So as soon as I open this up, the guy's gonna just start blah 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 with the fields. But pay attention. I'm gonna let him go straight through for the essence of time. We got to get out of here. We're just gonna watch these videos and take our quiz.
Hello, welcome to the Using Fields learning module. I'm Chris with Splunk Education. In this module, Jessica and I will help you learn how to use fields to filter your data to return the results you need. We will learn how to use fields in Splunk's search processing language, as well as the Splunk user interface to further filter your data, which fields are extracted from your data at index versus search time, the difference in persistent and temporary fields, and how to do more with your data through the use of knowledge objects. The field sidebar shows all the fields that were extracted at search time. We see the fields broken down into selected field and interesting field lists. Selected fields are fields of the utmost importance to you. They show up at the top of your fields list and at the bottom of your events. The default fields host, source, and source type are selected by default. Interesting fields are fields that have values in at least 20% of the events. The letter A next to a field denotes a string value. A hash mark denotes a numeral. Clicking on a field, you will see a list of values for the field, a count of the values, and a percentage of the events the value shows up in. You can add a field value pair to your search by clicking on it. Launch quick reports based on the field, and add it to the selected fields list. The available quick reports will be different depending on the returned values, but clicking on one will create a transforming search and display your results as statistical data. When you add a field to the selected fields list, the field will show in the events where it occurs and persist for subsequent searches. You can see all fields for the search by using the All Fields link at the top of the fields list or the More Fields link at the bottom. From here you can filter fields, see number of values, coverage, type, and add a field to the selected fields. You can refine and run more efficient searches by using fields in them. In this example, we're getting events from 3 different source types. We want to limit events returned by looking only at the Linux Secure source type for now. Searching for a field of source type with the value of Linux Secure returns only those events. Field names are case sensitive, while values are not. The operators equal and not equal to can be used with fields of numerical or string values, while greater than or equal to, less than, and less than or equal to operators can be used for fields with numerical values. Fields can also be added to your search by clicking on a value in a fields window. We can see that our mail server host has returned some events. To focus just on our web servers, we can add a not equal operator to a field value pair in our search. As you can see in this search, wildcards can also be used with field searches. We can also use booleans with field value pairs. By removing the is not equal operator and adding a boolean of not, Splunk returns the same results. Here we are nesting search terms in parentheses to return events that are not from mail or www1 hosts. For fields containing an IP address, wildcards are subnet and CIDR aware. It's important to understand the difference between the not equal to field operator and the not Boolean. They will not always return the same results. As you can see in these example searches, the number of events returned is wildly different. The top search is only returning events where the status field is not 200, while the bottom search returns all events that do not have a field where status equals 200, meaning that if an event does not have a status field at all, it will be included in the results. As an alternative to chaining together several operators, Splunk can also use an in operator. It's used following a field name, with the values we are wanting to include in our results wrapped in parentheses. The fields command can be used to include or exclude fields from your search. Here, we've piped our previous search into a stats command to create a table that displays a count of events by their status. Since the only field values we're using belong to the status field, we can make our search more efficient by adding a fields command, followed by the field to include in the search. Filtering as early as possible in a search is a best practice, so we place this command before the stats command. The fields command uses a plus or minus operator to specify whether a field should be included or excluded. This command defaults to inclusion, so if no operator is specified, the supplied fields will be included in the search. The rename command can be used to rename fields in your search, to give them more meaningful or user-friendly names. Our column headers of status and count are default labels from our field name and our stats command, but some employees in our organization might not find these labels descriptive enough. We pipe to the rename command and supply the field name with an as clause, followed by the new field label. Since this label is a phrase, we wrap it in quotes. We can rename multiple fields with the same command by separating them with a comma. Let's take a look at how Splunk returns fields in search results. We've mentioned that some fields are extracted at index time, while others are extracted at search time. But what does that really mean? When Splunk ingests data into the index, a select number of fields are automatically extracted. These include metadata fields such as host, source, and source type, and internal fields such as time and raw, which contain the event's timestamp and the original raw data of an event. At search time, field discovery extracts additional fields from raw event data. Splunk will automatically extract fields from your data based on its assigned source type, as well as key value pairs found in the data. These fields are persistent and will be extracted every time a search is run containing the same search terms, unless you explicitly tell Splunk to not return them. Temporary fields can also be created on an ad hoc basis using commands such as eval. The eval command is used to calculate and manipulate field values. Results of eval commands can be written to a new temporary field at search time, or replace an existing field's values. Let's look at an example using data from the fictional gaming company Buttercup Games. After an initial search of what sites were being misused during business hours, they have added a new web access policy. The usage is broken down into categories of usage types. The boss wants us to query this data to calculate how much internet bandwidth is being used for each usage type. We first use the stats command to find the sum of all bytes used. The resulting report shows the number of bytes used as bytes. This is what we asked for, but converting these values to megabytes would make our report much easier to understand. A web search tells us that a megabyte is 1024 to the power of 2 bytes. So we pipe our search into an eval command that divides the bytes by 1024, then divides the result by 1024 again. Since we used a non-existing field name for the results, a new field of bandwidth is created. The field extractor utility can be used to extract fields from your data that were not automatically extracted for its assigned source type. You can also use commands to extract fields that were not extracted at search time. These commands extract fields from your data using regular expressions, or regex. If you're inexperienced with regex or would like a refresher in its syntax, we recommend you watch our regex overview video. I have added a link to it, as well as the Splunk documentation, to your notes. Now let's hand it over to Jessica to teach us about the erex and rex commands.
While fields extracted with the field extractor are persistent across searches, there might be times where you want to extract values temporarily for the duration of a search. Splunk provides the erex and rex commands for this. The erex command is a lot like automatic field extraction in the field extractor. You give it a sample of values and Splunk will try to extract what you want. In the game beta logs, we see unextracted data representing character names for our users. We pipe our search into the erex command. Provide a field name to use for the extracted values. Use the from field argument to tell Splunk which field in our data to match on. And use an argument of examples to provide a list of sample data. When the search is run, Splunk builds a regular expression based on the sample data, checks it against the raw event data, and adds matched values to the character field. While the erex command is very handy when you need to get quick results, it can suffer the same issue as automatic field extraction. It only knows what to look for based on the sample you have given it. Using the where command with the isNull function, we can see some character names were missed. Adding more samples to the examples argument will fix this. We can see the regular expression Splunk used to match by clicking on the Jobs menu. Like with the field extractor, erex is a great way to start your regex, but should be checked and edited to match your needs. Information in the Job menu suggests using the rex command with the generated regex. The rex command allows you to use regular expression named capture groups to extract values at search time. It can be used on field values or raw data. The rex command allows you to match multiple groups, resulting in multiple fields. Let's extract both the user and character name values from our game beta data. Here we are using the field of _raw as the field to match on. By default, this field will be used if no field argument is given. Note that running rex over the raw field can have a performance impact. If you already have an extracted field that you can use, always default to using it. We enter a regular expression that we created earlier inside double quotes and run the search. We now have a field of user that includes the email addresses. We continue our expression to return a character field. Behind our capture group, we add an apostrophe, followed by a \s to match the whitespace. To match character name, in our data, we add a character class of upper and lowercase letters and a colon. We use a plus quantifier to match all characters within the class, followed by an apostrophe. We create another capture group named character. Inside this group, we will match one or more of a character class that includes upper and lowercase letters, digits, along with period and dash symbols. Upon running the search, we now have both user and character fields available to us. When choosing to use erex versus rex, keep a few things in mind. Erex is easier to use. You do not need to know regex to use erex, where rex requires it. With erex, you need to provide samples to generate regex. Rex does not require sample data. Erex creates a regular expression for you. You can use these expressions as a starting point with rex. When possible, use rex.
We previously used the eval command to create temporary fields at search time. This command takes the value contained in the bytes field, divides it by 1024 twice to convert it to megabytes, and stores it in a new field called bandwidth. This calculation made our search results much easier to read, but since this is not a persistent field, we will have to manually type out the eval command every time we want to make the conversion, which is not very efficient. Thankfully, there's a better way. By storing this eval command in a calculated field, Splunk will automatically create the field at search time every time a search containing the bytes field is run. There is one thing to keep in mind when creating a calculated field. Calculated fields can only reference fields that are already present in the events returned by a search. In the search we ran earlier, the bytes field is created by another command in the search. For calculated fields to perform correctly, make sure they are configured to reference a field that has already been extracted. Field aliases allow you to assign alternate names to fields in your data. If you have fields from multiple source types, such as user and username, that all contain similar values, you can create a field alias so that the similar values are grouped together. This allows you to search for all values at once in the shared field alias. Field aliases do not replace or remove the original field name, so you can search your data using either the original name or its alias. Lookups allow you to add other fields and values to your events that are not part of the index data. These field value pairs can be configured to automatically append to events in your search at search time, allowing you to add related information to lend additional context to your data. It's important to remember the search time operations order when working with knowledge objects related to fields. Field extractions are evaluated first in the pipeline, followed by field aliases, calculated fields, then lookups. This means that calculated fields can add additional context to extracted fields, since they are evaluated third, but a field alias cannot reference a value from a lookup. Creating knowledge objects is out of the scope of this learning module, but I have added a link to additional modules from Splunk Education, as well as the documentation to your notes. It has been a pleasure to join you on your journey to learning about Splunk. We suggest you check out the documentation and register for additional learning modules from Splunk Education. Thanks for watching.
Yep, and then they'll give you this congratulations, because once you watch that, you did all the videos, the notes. What notes do they have? I'm clicking show notes, but it's not showing anything. All right, so that's that. Those are the videos. We went straight through them because they were very short videos, and in the essence of time, we want to keep the boot camp sessions to around the 2-hour mark, or just roughly around there. So let's get to the quiz and knock that out. So what we're going to do is go to quiz, close this, go to class, go down to our quiz. All right. We have to get a 75 on this to pass in order to get a certificate. There's only 8 questions, so that's the part that's tricky, because you can't get too many wrong when there's only 8 questions. You get 1 or 2 wrong and you're already down with the average and you're below a 75. So that's the problem. Okay, so let's try this. Which of the following fields are default selected fields? This is fairly simple because just using Splunk a little bit, we see the same fields all the time whenever they are doing a search. So what's the ones that come up? What do we have?
Everything except for the fourth one.
Everything except for the 4th one?
Yes.
So source, source type, and host. Correct. Yeah, I like that. Host, source type, source. Yeah, index doesn't really come up. Perfect. So that's one. Now, true or false kind of suck because you either know it or you don't. There's no multiple choice. but you can eliminate if you know the answer pretty much. True or false? Once you rename a field, and we was doing the rename function, the new field name must be used in the rest of the search string. Now,
That has to be true.
okay, it has to be true.
Because when you
Okay.
rename, you have to use the name that you renamed it to. Otherwise, it's not going to be valid.
Yeah, let's just think about that. We renamed the field. So let's say I renamed you to Monica. And if I renamed you Monica, why would I keep calling you Tiffany? That's going to confuse everybody. I already renamed you. Everybody got to keep calling you the same name, so everybody will be on the same page. So in Splunk, we don't want to confuse ourselves. We're literally just learning this, so we don't want to confuse ourselves. So we rename something for the sake of not being confused. We're going to continue naming that throughout the rest of the string, and that is going to be true. And we're going to say that with some confidence based off of that. We don't want to be confused. Now here is the position of the modifier that is the trick
It's
here.
going to be the last one, because ain't the last one to remove and the plus is to add, right?
Yes. Plus is to add, minus is to remove. You said the last one, so the only difference between the last one and the third one is where the minus symbol is. This is before fields, this is after fields. So you have to either know where the symbol goes. But we said the last one, so let's go with that. We want to remove a field, so we're going to use fields and then the minus symbol to remove the field, and we'll submit that. We're halfway done. At search time, blank, so we're looking to fill in that blank, extracts fields from raw event data. So they're looking for something that when you get to the raw event data, it's going to extract the field. So, and they're only giving us 3 choices. So they're not giving us much here. One of these, the discovery, the command, or the extractor.
I was going with the extractor because wasn't the extractor like the Erex and the Rex? No.
Reg and regex is what that was, and that's for something else. We will definitely get into that in a future video because those are important and we want to make a lab out of that. And this is kind of tricky because it says at search time, blank extracts fields. And you said field extractor. It makes sense. Extractor would extract fields. However, discovery is what extracts fields from raw event data. There is a specific keyword of raw event data because fields can come from different times when you're doing different things with fields. There's raw event data is a specific time when you're doing a search, and it's going to be with the discovery for that. And that's in the video. So we're going to go with that. So that way we won't get that wrong. We can't get too many wrong. This one is very simple.
I don't know this one.
They explained this in the first video and in this video. In the field sidebar, interesting fields occur in at least blank % of the resulting events. So you got your fields on the top, your selected fields, and then you got your interesting fields. So your interesting fields, your selected ones come up by default. Your source type, and your host, that's selected fields by default. Your interesting fields, those come up at 20% of the resulting events. So if you have a search and it does some events, and 20% of that search results in something is going to come up in the interesting fields, 20% or more. Okay, and then we have at search time. So now remember when I said raw event time? So this is search time. This is a different time. At search time, in an event has, if an event, excuse me, has an equal sign, the data to the left is treated as blank and the data to the right is treated as blank. So we're talking about fields and we have equal sign. So if we have an equal sign, something equals something else. So in this case, we have a field name and field name equals this. Like if we name our field food, food equals banana, food equals this. So it would equal the value of whatever's on the right of it. And that's how they do it in Splunk. So this is for the equal sign. What's on the left is the name, and what's on the right is the value. And this one, the fields command allows you to do which of the following. Now, includes fields, excludes fields. Now, the two include fields, one has a positive, one has nothing.
The first and the
So,
third, because that's pretty much the question I answer, right? Where one includes the field and one excludes the field, right?
kind of, sort of, kind of, sort of. However, there's a specific thing here that I want to point out. Since this is study group, we have to figure out all of this. There's a modifier there. By default, if you want to add something and you don't put the addition, it will add it. However, if you're typing something in and you put the add modifier, let's say if you're doing multiple things, some stuff you want to add, some stuff you do not want to add. So now you want to specifically note what you want to add so that everything won't be added by default. You will put the modifier of the plus after everything, plus. When you do that, now everything that does not have a plus will not be added by default. You're changing it by adding the plus to the ones that you want to add. So if you do not want to add anything at all, or you want to remove, excuse me, you would use the modifier with the minus. If you just write something down, it will add it by default with no modifier. If you want to select what you want to add, you would use the modifier so that everything that has the modifier would be added. Everything that does not would not be added by default. So that's why they have that. So for this answer, it would be all of them. All of them would, field command would allow us to add in two different ways. We have two ways to add, and we have one way to remove or exclude. So don't get tricked. Don't get caught slipping. Now here, true or false, fields are knowledge objects. I'm not going to lie. In the video, this is not very clear. I watched the video a few different times and I did not get clarity on this. So shame on you, Splunk. This is not very clear for my group. I had to go out and do further research to find out this one. But yes, a field is a knowledge object. So that is synonymous with knowledge object. Field and knowledge objects are the same. So we're going to say true for that. And we answered 8 out of 8. If you're following along with us, just like the last intro to Splunk, we did pass that quiz. We did get certificates for that. In the essence of 2 videos tonight, we should be getting 2 certificates. So let's submit this and see what we got.
If I got my certificate, you know what? For that last one, World, that was in the introduction to Splunk in the knowledge object, because I remember it's in that pie chart.
Yes, that's why that one we have no excuse. No excuse to get that wrong, because we got 100% on the last one. So how we look getting 100 on the last one and getting the same question on the last one wrong on the next one? No, we don't work like that. We move forward. You move forward. So we got 100 on this one and on that one. And that is 2 certificates in one night. So yeah, we were good. Let's see what we can do with those certificates. We should be able to print them out. Go to class. We should be able to print out our certificates. Yes. Print out certificate if you want to see what the certificate looks like. We'll export it. Look at it. There it goes. That's how it would look. So if you get your certificate right away, as soon as you pass, you got to watch all the videos, get a completion on that. You have to get a 75 or more on the quiz that results after that. And then they'll give you a certificate that you can print out. This is the one for using fields. We also got the one for intro to Splunk. And that's it for the first boot camp session. We got 2 videos done. We're right at the 2-hour mark with the video, which is perfect. We started at 8, but we didn't start recording. We were, bullshitting a bit. But we did start the video right around 8 something. So we're right at 2 hours. We got 2 of them done. We got 2 certificates. We got some people educated, that came in. We learned some stuff today, and that's the point. So group will meet again next week, same time. We'll be covering the next topic. It's a little longer, so we'll just be covering that one all throughout this week until next week. In the LinkedIn group, we'll be discussing this. We'll post the replay of this video in there so everybody can watch it. We'll also start loading the quizzes in there and the labs. So I'll create a file where all the labs will be in there. You start taking the labs, start getting some hands-on, start familiarizing yourself with some of these concepts. And then by the end of the boot camp, everyone should be able to pass that test. One person, I'll get a free voucher for it. I'll pay for it out of my own pocket. I don't even know, excuse me, I don't even know who I'm going to pick or how. It's going to be at random. I'm not going to, there's no favoritism with that. Just going to pick somebody at random who participates a lot in the group and everything. And they'll get a voucher for the test. They'll be able to take it. Hopefully we all take it, we all learn, and we all start, moving up in the world of tech. This is a tech group. I'm in other tech groups as well, but this is my group that I created for the purpose of learning how to use a cybersecurity tool so that we could get better suited for these jobs that are out there that require that we have some of these skills. I'm trying to get us to skill up. That's my main goal. While I'm skilling up, I'm going to bring my people with me. We're all going to skill up together. If you follow me, you will learn. That's the motto. We're locked in learning. That's the motto here. So thank you, ladies, for showing up, listening to me, learning Splunk with me, and getting certified with me. We'll definitely see you next week, same time, and during the week in group, for sure. I always end off with, if anyone has any questions, of course, please, just feel free to ask. And then if you do not, then we'll wrap up with that. Going once, going twice.